Now taking the eyes, select the geometry. Gonna go ahead and hit duplicate, Control D. Gonna move them over. And that's awesome. So let's see what's going on here. They're probably still parented for one. So I'm gonna go to Window, Outliner, bring up my outliner, hit F to find these. And there they are. So I can pull those out by holding the middle mouse button and dragging them to where there's a single dotted line between two objects in the outliner. That worked pretty good. So I'll shift select them and wow, still getting the weirdness, huh? Okay, no worries there. Just drag them over one at a time at the moment, or I could try grouping them. So I hit Control G to group them, and I will center their pivot. So I'll go up to Modify, down to Center Pivot. See if I can move these things over. And they're doing all right. So I just need to really get the placement. It's probably pretty close. Actually might be for this eye right here, since I did the little crisscross thingy. Close enough. Okay, so we'll be able to take those, the two eyes, and I'll move them over. Actually, I could take the head too. And I'll duplicate them, Control D. Just move them over this way. Hit F to frame that geometry. And now I can start messing with the eyes. So I'll select the head, go to vertex mode, and I'll select some of the vertices here, okay? Holding down Shift, selecting this bunch. Getting a bit of a droop, so I'm going to double click the tool to open up the settings, and I need to change the fall off radius to try 0.5. Okay, not bad. I'm going to go 0.4, and I may need to go 0.3. That looks pretty good. And all I'm doing is I'm really just getting a quick top selection here, so I can get the top eyelid to kind of come down and forward. Now I'm not going to do the greatest job in the world, just because this is just a tutorial. So I'll hold Control, deselect these, and really all I'm going for is a bit of a middle movement. So I'm trying to get these to come down to the middle. I could change my fall off. And you could pick walk by using your arrows like this. Now I'm hitting the right arrow key in this case to jump over to the next set of vertices. Again, I'm not going to be doing the best job here. I'm just trying to go halfway in this case to give you guys a good indication of what we can do with this. So I have the eyes halfway shut. I'm going to select the eyes group so I can move them together. So I'll tap up to get to the group node. Shift select the face. Duplicate it. Control D. Gonna move that over to the side like that. Hit F to frame it. And I'm gonna finish closing the eyes here. So go to vertex mode. Select a vertice. I'm going to double click on the fall off. Bring it up to something a little bit higher. 0.25 might be a little bit much. Go back to 0.1. And I'm going to generically pull it down like so. Maybe even over, just to complete our closing eye here. So I'll drag it over like this, and I am deforming the geometry a little bit differently than I might. Not too sure, because I'm just doing a really super fast job of this to get the eye to close. I think that might suffice. Okay. So we have this going on here. And I'm going to save this as an iteration, just in case something happens. I'm going to go to object mode. And basically what we did to set up the eyes is that we created a halfway point. Because if you were to see how this eye is rounded right here, okay, the contour of it, what happens is that Maya would try to move one blend shape if it was shutting all the way from point A to point B in a linear fashion, so straight down. And basically, if I get from a side view, what can happen is that if the eyelid was up here, it would cut through. So let's go to another head that has the eye maybe. I think it's back this way. And you can see that this would cut through right here to get to the bottom, and we might end up getting part of the eye showing. But the eye would not look correct because the lid wouldn't be going around the eyeball, but much less going straight through it, which is a weird movement that we would notice if we were watching an animation. We saw that happen. Now the left and right eye are pretty close, but they're not perfect, and that's okay. This is just for learning purposes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two objects and we're going to blend them together. So here's the deal. When you select the order of how these need to go, you basically have to have the mid first. So with the mid blink, or when it is in mid blink, then you shift select the one that is in full blink. So it has to go in that order. And then you shift select the original head. And we're just going to add this as a new blend shape, probably the easiest way of going. So if you go to create deformers up top, down to blend shape option box, we're going to put the envelope at 0.5, which says that there's two blend shapes that need to be split. We're going to give one half the value, the other one's going to have the other half in that order. So 0.5 plus 0.5 equaling 1. We're going to turn on in between, and I turned off check topology because that seemed to work just fine. I didn't do anything with the advanced tab, so it's still based at the default. And I'm just going to go down to create. Now this is what we should get. I select the head, the main head, so click off to deselect, select the main head. Go down here to the channel box, scroll down a little bit. We're going to get a new blend shape. This is okay, just totally fine. I'm going to select that blend shape. You're going to see that the envelope is set to 0.5. So when I do this moon head, when I select it and come over here, hold down my middle mouse button, drag to the right, it's only allowing me to go 0.5 of the way. Not sure why I wasn't able to get 1. I probably would have to put in 1, which could be a new thing for 2014. Not too sure, but I found that if I come over here to the envelope and I type in 1, it allows me to go all the way to 1 instead of just halfway. So when I select this now, the moon head, which is going to be the driver for this, I can hold down my middle mouse button and drag it. So if this was going to be a blink, because remember I did do the chin and stuff earlier, as a matter of fact, I could actually just go and change the chin between the two, the chin and the nose, like so, right? And we'll get an update. So I could double click the tool, turn up the soft select to 1, and whoa, what's up with this? Better turn that up a little bit more. Oh, that's because this reflection's on. But we can update this by pulling it back a bit. And the same thing with the chin. Not going to get too fancy with it. Just so we can focus a little more on the eye opposed to the blink. That's probably going to move a little bit, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about that. Gonna be a little bit of weirdness, but not too bad. Wow, that's just creepy. Well, the creep factor's still up on that one, so no worries. Just gonna go to Blend Shape 2 and check the blink out. Ugh, creepy. Okay, but I think you guys get the idea. Now, the only other thing to show is that for animation purposes, in this case, because we could always link these to something else, is that I'm going to put this guy on the side here. If you go up to Window, down to Animation Editors, and you go down to Blend Shape, it's going to bring up the slider. Okay, and initially we'd want all of them right up here, but we're going to have to do the workaround with this Blend Shape. And you're going to see that we're able to slide these things here. We're also able to hit keys or set keys right down here. So if I hit key, and this is going to be right on, it looks like 0. I need to go to maybe 12, and I'll have it blink, and I'll key it by hitting key. You see that I get a tick there. I can go back to 24 to complete the loop, put this value back to 0, and key it. So when I play it, we have a little basic blink there. So I'm going to hit stop, rewind that completely, go up to edit, down to keys, and I'm just going to delete the keys so I don't have to worry about that. But you see that we are able to get that functionality. Now I could slide the others, and I should be getting a bit of a blend here, but it looks as though for some reason I may have lost some of that functionality unless I follow it in order. Oh yeah, I did forget that the chin here is pulling in because I am getting the eyes to blink along with the other two. So we are getting a blend. It's just that this last one seems to be taking precedence in this case. So if I go halfway, you guys can see partly how the blends are going to work. See how the chin and the nose are trying to grow out, and even more so when I put the other one up. As I bring this down to 0, it gets the creep factor in there. Okay, but if they're all up here, then we'd be able to work with them. And I think there is still a way that we can add them or just redo these other two, since they were the ones that were a little more straightforward. We could add those to this one and delete the previous blend shape, and then we'd have all three of them on one row right up here. But that's the way it would work for animation, and this is a pretty good way of working. You can see that we have a nice creepy face, and we'd be able to animate it from right here, or we can animate it from Window, Animation Editors, Blend Shape.